Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of Podcasting for Educators. If you're listening in real time, it is February 2022. And if you saw the title of this episode, Proactive Podcast Planning Summer Content Edition, you might be thinking, why in the world would I be thinking about my summer content already? Well, I will tell you in just a minute inside the episode. And make sure you stick around until the end because I have a freebie for you as well. Welcome to Podcasting for Educators, the podcast that helps TPT authors and other online educators launch and grow their show. I'm Sarah, former elementary school teacher turned podcast manager, and I'm on a mission to help you get your podcast out and into the ears of those who need it most. Busy teachers, counselors, literacy specialists, SLPs, parents, and everyone in between. Each week, we'll cover quick tips, strategies, and podcast industry updates so that you can be on top of your podcasting game and gain some new customers along the way. Are you ready? Let's get to it. So, since this episode is airing the week of Valentine's Day, I just have to tell you how much I truly appreciate you listening to this podcast. I have created this show just for you, so you are always welcome to reach out to me and let me know about a topic that you would love to hear covered. And also, if you are loving this podcast, please hit that follow button in your podcast app if you haven't already. This helps to make sure that you never miss an episode. So going back to the question of why are we worrying about summer content already? Well, it is because I have noticed a trend in my clients' podcast numbers, and that is that they tend to go up during the summer months. This is a time that their downloads increase and they gain and retain new listeners, which is really interesting because in other industries in the online space, in other niches in the online space, it's really the opposite usually. Usually during the summer, people's podcast numbers tend to kind of sink a little bit because people are on vacations and a lot of people tend to take time off during the summer, and so they're not really in that work mindset. But for the TPT space, they go up. And I mean, it really does make sense for this niche because educators are off for at least part of the summer, and they have that well-deserved free time. I know for me as a former teacher, I would try to enjoy relaxing over the summer, and I did. I loved my summers off, but school was still on my mind, and I'm sure that you can relate to that. And over the summer, even if I was at the pool or at the beach or just hanging around on my couch, I couldn't help but think about all the different things that I wanted to do for the upcoming year, how I wanted to change my classroom library setup or try a new classroom management strategy, or maybe even get some lesson plans in the book so that I was good to go for like that first month back to school. I can't say this for sure for all of you, depending on your specific audience, but overall, educators are looking for new strategies to bring with them into the upcoming school year. And so as a podcaster, you really want to use this time of year wisely. Summertime can be a really fun time to switch things up, try something new, to build new buzz around your show and grab the attention of maybe some of your listeners who might have fallen off in the past few months, or gain the attention of new listeners. So I want to encourage you to think about how you can create something fun and fresh and engaging with your podcast during the summer, and then kind of plan the rest of your summer content around that. So I have 5 quick tips or ideas for you for when you start thinking about your summer content. The first is that you can consider creating content over the summer around themes. So you could have like an overall theme for your summer episodes or a theme for each month during the summer. Maybe you call it like the stress-free summer series or back to school prep or something along those lines that has a theme that you can focus on for each of the summer months. The great thing about using themes with your podcast is that it allows you to really go ahead and plan ahead of time for that summer content, even if you're doing that planning in the winter months. The second idea I have for you is to really take advantage of the fact that your people are off for at least a few weeks during the summer. Most of them, I know a lot of them work still or do summer school and all these kinds of things, but you definitely will have a large number of people, of teachers, of counselors, whoever your audience is, who has some time off during the summer. So a really great idea would be to leverage that time to bring them on your show. And I mean, you could do this in so many different ways, but it really is a good way to build those relationships with your listeners. Let them come onto your platform and have a voice. Those kinds of episodes really resonate with audiences. It could be anything from having them just like share their overall experience of teaching during 2021 and 2022, and maybe some changes that they want to see in the education space, or maybe twist it and focus on the positive. Like even during a really hard year, what are some things that went really well for them? Or how did they keep a sense of positivity even though it was a really, really challenging last couple of years for teachers? And that might look different than your episodes normally do. Usually you're doing some sort of teaching, but it might be kind of nice to switch things up and just have some people on who are in the schools and share their experiences and just have like a genuine conversation with them. This is another great thing about podcasting. It's just such a unique platform that you can invite people on and have these conversations with people that you've never even met before. Because as a podcast host, you kind of sometimes feel like you're talking to yourself, but being able to bring one of your listeners on is a really cool experience, not only for them, but for you as well. So that's one idea. And then another idea is, of course, if you have a membership or an online course of any kind or a Facebook group, bringing people on from those areas of your business to talk about how your resources have helped them, or how your guidance has helped them, or how they've taken a strategy that they've learned from you and how that's affected their day-to-day life in the classroom. My third tip for you is that summertime is a really great time to consider doing some sort of ad in your podcast episodes. And if you have never done an ad before and you're kind of like very hesitant about it and you really aren't interested in doing one, hear me out. An ad doesn't have to feel super salesy. It doesn't have to be long. In fact, I would encourage you to not go any longer than 30 seconds. And it can be quick. It can be fun. You can have music behind it. You have to remember that if there are going to be more ears on your show during this summertime, this is a great time to consider a quick ad that you run during the summer months. It could be for anything, but I do encourage you to just pick one thing. Have one ad that you run consistently for maybe 2 months, because again, that might seem repetitive to you. It is not. People need to hear the same thing over and over and over again. And so pick one thing, and it can be anything. It could be an ad that encourages people to go check out your TPT store or your course or your membership or your Facebook group or a freebie that's really popular with your audience. It can be anything, but choose one thing and consider writing an ad for it. My fourth tip for you is to create exclusive content for podcast listeners only. So this is, again, kind of going back to that idea of building relationships, creating some sort of exclusive content that's only available to your podcast listeners. You're not talking about it on your social media. It's not in your TPT store. It's not in your weekly emails. It's only something that you're giving away or talking about on your podcast. This is a really great opportunity to build that connection with your listeners. It's also a great opportunity to track some of your traffic and really see, like maybe you create an exclusive freebie for your podcast episodes during the summer to build up your email list, and you're only talking about it on your podcast. And so you know that if anybody's signing up for this freebie, they're coming from your podcast. So that's kind of just a great way to track some traffic and validate that people are listening and taking action. And then my fifth tip for you is to consider how you might be able to gamify your summer episodes. So for example, if I had a Facebook group for my podcast audience, I might create some sort of bingo board. And on that bingo board, there's, several different options that people can choose from. And if they get 3 in a row or 4 in a row, or if they fill their whole board, however you want to approach it, then they would win some sort of prize. Like for me, I might give away a new microphone or a strategy call with me, something that would be beneficial to my specific audience. And on that bingo board, I could have things like share this podcast with a friend, or listen to this specific episode, or follow the podcast, or screenshot your favorite episode and tag me on Instagram. So all these little easy things that when they do them, they get entered into this giveaway that I would do at the end of my summer series. So there's so many different ways that you can use gamification with your podcast episodes, and summer is a really great time to try it out. So to recap, those 5 ideas for creating fun and engaging summer content is to consider doing a theme either for the whole summer or for each month, to feature people from your audience, feature your listeners on your show, run some sort of ad during the summer, pick one thing and run a quick 30-second ad in all of your summer episodes. 4, create exclusive content for podcast listeners only. And 5, gamify your summer episodes in some way. I hope that these ideas get your wheels turning. I think that this is a really great time to be creative, build up your audience, build up your podcast community, and build up your email list. Before you go, if you heard in the beginning, I do have a freebie for you. As I was planning out this episode, I thought it might be helpful to have some sort of planning tool that you can quick jot down some ideas. So I'm going to include a link that goes to a Google spreadsheet. It is nothing fancy, but I love a good spreadsheet. I think it's a super quick, easy way to plan things out and brainstorm ideas. So it's a Google spreadsheet. When you click on the link, you'll be prompted to make a copy of it for your own Google Drive. And then it breaks down June, July, and August. I have the dates for 2022 by week. And then I have places where you can kind of brainstorm how you could plan out your summer content with like the date it's going to go live, the topic that you want to focus on, the guests that you want to have on, what to promote, whether or not you'll include an ad. I have a space to plan out your call to actions for each episode, how you want to promote the episode, if you want to do any kind of special follow-up for this episode, like maybe you have a guest on and then you want to do an Instagram live with them, or you want to feature them in your Facebook group somehow, or feature them in your newsletter. So many different ideas. So that spreadsheet will be available to you at podcastingforeducators.com/summer planning. I hope it's helpful for you. And if it is, I would love for you to tag me on Instagram. Let me know you're using it and how it's helping you, because I love hearing from you and just knowing what works and what doesn't. That link will be in the show notes for you. And I will be back here next week with an awesome guest episode for you. I will see you then. If you have any questions or takeaways from this episode, send me a message on Instagram at Podcasting for Educators. I'd love to hear from you. All links and resources mentioned can be found in the show notes at podcastingforeducators.com. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Bye for now.